Well, did you expect anything different? Washington gets waxed in front of a national audience on Turkey Day? I guess we got to talk about it. Here's our instant reaction. Let's go. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to this instant reaction here on Ref the District. I am the Stoner. We are a proud member of the Believe Network. You're going to have to deal with just me today. Nathan and Trev, look, they're spending time with their family. Good for them. Well deserved. So you got just me, unopposed, nobody to check me. So, hey, you're just going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to make your comments on whether or not you think I'm crazy or whether or not you think I am spot on with my reaction here, this instant reaction to this disaster of a game. But we all knew that this is how it was going to work out. Did we not? Did we not all know that this was going to happen here? It still sucks. It still hurts. But if you were smart, you might have bet some money on the Cowboys. You would have laid all the points. I think it got all the way up to like 14 and a half. Look, if you were smart, you would have gone to Bet Online. You would have downloaded their mobile app, or you would have gone to your browser and gone to betonline.com. Put all your money on Dallas. That would have been the smart thing to do. It's called an emotional hedge. You bet on Dallas, and if they win, then you win money. If Washington wins, then you're happy because Washington wins. You win either way, but do it at Bet Online. If you do it now, they'll give you a 50% welcome bonus, which means whatever you put in, they'll give you 50% on top of that if you're a first-timer there at Believe. At Bet Online using the Believe code. Bet Online, where the game starts. Okay, I mean, we got to get into this. The biggest thing right here, I mean, I'm talking, I stopped watching the game before it was finished. This has got to be the first time in I don't know how long that I've done that. I'm usually not that. I like to watch every last play down to the very end. But I just couldn't do it, man. It sucked so bad. I'm so tired of watching this week after week after week after week. This is year 4. This is year 4 of the Ron Rivera era. This is not Ron Rivera starting over. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Sitting here saying, and I know you all who are watching this, you all are not sitting here saying, well, you know, let Ron play it out, see what happens. I know you are not saying that. But we got to start talking about what Josh Harris is going to do. Twice this team has been on national television this year. Twice they've been absolutely blown out. 45-20 today on Thanksgiving, when everybody's getting together. There's a lot of eyes who are watching today that don't normally watch because they're stuck in front of the TV because they're with their family. And they watch this absolute debacle of the second half anyway. We'll talk about the first half, which wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But an absolute debacle in the second half, 25-0 in the second half. Dak was eating turkey leg during the game. That's how out of hand it got. A defensive back who, until this year, you'd probably never heard of, Deron Bland, set an all-time NFL record right in our face by scoring his 5th pick six of the year. And what made it worse is that Dan Quinn was talking about, or Tony Romo was referring to Dan Quinn, talking about how we like guys in college who make plays in college. That's who we like to draft and get on our team. And that's what Washington did. And yet our guy can't even sniff the field. Anyway, Josh Harris has an obligation after watching this disaster on Thursday and the other disaster, the last time they played on Thursday against Chicago, getting blown out 40-20 at home. And I get Josh Harris is like, I have to be patient. I can't come across as being this impulsive fool. If you don't fire them, then now you're just a passive fool. and you're making fools out of all of us, Josh Harris. Don't make fools out of all of us who, oh, by the way, we're the ones that put money in your pocket. We're the ones that here in year 4 are sitting here having to watch this, all of this roster building. It takes 5 years. Year 3 is when you start seeing the fruits of your labor. Year 4 is where you take the next step. Oh, the reason we're not doing well is because of quarterback. Oh, now we have a quarterback. Blah, blah, blah. It's time, Josh Harris. It's time to make a change. Do it, and do it today. We called for it last week. You didn't do it. Do it today. Let Ron know it's over. You can't put something out on the field week after week on national television and get embarrassed to your rival, to a team that's beaten nobody this year. They have 0 quality wins this year. Their best win might be against the Rams. This is a team that lost to the Cardinals, for crying out loud. And they absolutely embarrassed Washington in front of the world, in front of everybody. And you're just going to say, we got to be patient. We're going to let this play out. We're going to evaluate. No, not anymore. It's time. 45 points. And if you want to give 7 to the defense, great. That's still 38 points that your defense gave up. And you're going to let Jack DelRio continue to go? Are you not going to hold anybody accountable? Is that what you're telling me? Josh Harris. I'm talking to you, Josh Harris. Do something. Show us you care. Show us that you're listening to us, the people that put money in your pockets, and tell them you got to be held accountable for this foolishness that you're putting out on the field week after week after week. Let's talk about the game. I can't believe that halftime, I felt pretty good about the way things were going, even though Washington's down 20-10. And by the way, Ron Rivera has coached 62 games in Washington. 44 of 62, which is 71%. They've been either tied or losing at halftime, including 9 out of 12 this year. That's 75%. 70 to 75% of the time, Washington is losing or tied at halftime. 25% to 30%, they're actually leading at halftime in 4 years. And we're going to be patient. I keep getting sidetracked. Look, there's not going to be a day after reckoning tomorrow. Unless Ron gets fired, we might just have to do an instant reaction. But there's not going to be a day after reckoning. I'm just so ticked off after what happened in that second half. And Josh setting himself up by saying, look, we're going to let it go through the whole year. Change your mind. You're allowed to change your mind. Change your mind and tell them, sorry, appreciate your time. Here's all your money, by the way. You're not taking his money away. Here's the remaining money on your contract, which I believe goes through next year. Good Lord. All right, some of the notes I had from the first half. First of all, the first time Washington had the ball, they went run, short pass, first down. And then what do you think they did on play number 4? Took a deep drop. And what do you think happened? Sack. As bad as the defense was, the offense itself wasn't necessarily bad, but it got into certain situations, and the offense was making some play calls that you just wanted to jump through the TV and choke the living crap out of EB. Metaphorically. When you have these 4th downs, these 3rd and 1s, stop going shotgun. Oh my God. It's basic football. It doesn't matter what era it is. It doesn't matter if it's this new era, this new hippie era where it's you pass to score and you run to win BS that we have to listen to from people in their 20s and 30s. You do that if you have great quarterbacks. And if you don't have great quarterbacks, you run the ball. And when it's 3rd and 1, line up in shotgun and let your running back get ahead of steam. And if he doesn't get it on 3rd down, you do it again on 4th down. And oh, by the way, when it's 4th and 7 at the opponent's 44-yard line, maybe you go for it. You got nothing to lose. Then the next drive, it's 4th and 3 at the 43, and you punt again. You got nothing to lose. I mean, in the second half, you had a 4th and 1 at your own 20-something yard line, and you went for it. Why? Because you got nothing to lose, and you didn't get it. And it was a run play. But where was it from? Shotgun. And you also had the 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. Shotgun, deep pass. Shotgun, run. You know what the problem is? What I think the problem is with Eric Bieniemy's play calling? I think the problem is that he's so effing arrogant in his play calling. He doesn't care what the defense is doing. He doesn't care how they're lined up. He doesn't care the personnel. He says, we're going to do what we're going to do. And that's such arrogance. You don't have the equity, the offensive accomplishments of this team. You don't have that equity to be able to say, we're going to do what we're going to do regardless of what's going on the other side. You've got one of the fastest defenses in the league. Use that to your advantage, not I'm going to do what I'm going to do. That's what ticks me off about Eric Bieniemy's offensive play calling. He's going to do what he's going to do regardless of what's going on the other side. That arrogance is what's going to keep him from getting a head coaching job in Washington next year. At the end of the first quarter, it was only 7-0, and it wasn't that terrible. And then Washington gets a field goal. But Dak just stood out there. I don't know that he was touched the entire game, and I'm being dead serious. I don't know that he was touched by a Washington player the entire game. If they had to swab him for DNA, they're not going to find any Washington player's DNA on Dak Prescott. Because we never got close enough to get our DNA on him. I'm getting back to that. It doesn't matter what era it is. It doesn't matter if it's way back when the NFL started, when they wore leather helmets, or in the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s and aughts and 10s and now in the 20s. It doesn't matter what era it is. Football is won in the trenches. The best offensive lines win football games, unless you have the greatest quarterback of all time, and his name's Patrick Mahomes. And by the way, he's got a great offensive line, mostly. He had Andrew Wiley last year. Patrick Mahomes got Andrew Wiley paid because they had other good offensive linemen, and you had Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't matter what era. Football is won in the trenches. And yet this team decides we're going to go and we're going to get everybody except offensive linemen. And Dak never got touched, and Sam was under siege all game long. Draft an offensive lineman. For all those people who want Brock Bowers, look in the mirror and then punch yourself in the nose. This team is not lacking playmakers. This team is lacking the time to get it to the playmakers, or allowing those playmakers to make plays up the middle. Draft an offensive tackle. And then in the second round, draft an offensive guard. And in the third round, draft another offensive tackle or your second round pick. Stop getting enamored with these people because of something that you see on tape or whatever. You know, offensive line is what you need to do to win. Fidarian Mathis in the second round. So it was 20-10 at halftime, and I didn't feel too bad about it. But Dallas comes out in the second half, and their first drive, Washington forces a punt. In the second drive, Washington forced a punt. They did some good defensively for a little while, but then they just got wore down. And by the fourth quarter, I'm going to look up the stat on what the fourth quarter scores have been this year, especially after the first two games, because I think Washington did very well in the fourth quarter of those first two games. But since then, it's been a disaster. Think about Buffalo. They were only down 16-0 in the fourth quarter and lost 37-3. They gave up 21 points, whatever the math is. This game, what was the score going into the fourth quarter? I don't even remember. I think it was still 20-10. They scored 25 points in the fourth quarter. And Josh Harris, you think these guys still deserve jobs after today? That play that CeeDee Lamb scored on, which, by the way, I could have made that throw because there wasn't a guy within 5 yards of Dak. And that was a double move by CeeDee Lamb. Quan Martin was covering him. A rookie safety / corner who for the first month and a half couldn't see the field because he wasn't good enough is covering CeeDee Lamb, who's probably going to the Hall of Fame if he keeps this up. Sorry, it's a little bit of hyperbole there, but he's at a minimum, he's going into the Cowboys Ring of Honor. As I'm recording this, Rivera's having his press conference. I don't give an S what he's saying in that press conference. Benjamin St-Juste was getting cooked. Dallas obviously did their homework. They said, we're going to hunt matchups, and we're going to put CeeDee Lamb on Benjamin St-Juste, and he was cooking them all game. Benjamin St-Juste was getting cooked all game. What are we doing? When Washington runs the ball, overall, they're good at it. They just don't do it enough. And I know they're going to end up with like 28 carries in this game. Anyway, what's on tap? All I did was rant. I'm sorry I ranted. I'm tired of watching this week after week after week after week. We still got 5 games left in the year. I put I emptied my account, my Bet Online account, on Washington plus 6.5 wins, 5.5. I can't even remember what it was. And they started off 2-0, and I was laughing how easy that bet was going to be. And now my Bet Online count is going to be down to the felt. In the first half, Dallas had 26 plays. 15 of them went for first downs. This defense is so bad. And what's crazy about it, think about the defense last year, which finished top 5. And this year, what's the difference in personnel-wise? I know Chase and Sweat were gone, but this defense was doing exactly what they did in this game prior to them being traded. But before that, what was the difference? What was the difference? Cole Holcomb left and Cody Barton replaced him, and Bobby McCain left and basically Emmanuel Forbes replaced him. That's it. That's the difference in terms of personnel. How do you go from top 5 to the worst defense in the NFL? And that's not hyperbole. They are statistically the worst defense in the NFL. Remember when the Broncos gave up 70 to the Dolphins and we laughed at them? The Dolphins are laughing at us now. I mean, the Broncos are laughing at our defense now because they're no longer the worst. Washington is. They made adjustments. How does this team give up 30, 40 points? They've given up 37 points, 38 points, 45 points, 40 points this year. It's ridiculous. Josh Harris, for the last time, Josh Harris, you have an obligation to us fans. You have an obligation to say, I'm no longer going to allow this product to be put in front of these fans. I'm not going to allow that anymore. And somebody has to be held accountable. And his name's Ron Rivera. Ref the District is, of course, brought to you by Bet Online, where the game starts. We appreciate everybody. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on audio, make sure you leave us a rating and review. Looking forward to in Ref the District. Unless Ron gets fired tonight or tomorrow, we will not have a day after reckoning. It's a holiday weekend. It's a long weekend because of Washington not playing on Sunday. So we've taken advantage of that to take some time off after this. So the next time you will see us after this will be on Monday for our regular Daily Commanders update. Tuesday, Daily Commanders update. Wednesday, back to the live show, on and on and on. We'll be back to it on Monday. So appreciate all of you. Again, make sure you hit that like and hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I mean, you don't have a choice. Be a fan.